Death has taken your friends, your neighbors, and your family. Now it's at your doorstep. How are you going to survive? Chapter 1. The Disease from the East. It's the middle of the 14th century, and you are a young man living in Florence, Italy. You work long hours and answer to your Lord, so you're clearly poor. Lucky for you, so is most people around here. But poverty isn't the only handicap people carry around. Most folks can't read and write, and they tend not to travel too far from home. The church typically controls daily life here, so there's always a priest close enough to remind you that God loves you. Yeah, you get that, but right now you're not really feeling that love. You're too busy trying to earn enough to survive another winter. Turns out, that's not the only thing you're gonna have to survive. Rumors spread through the city. Merchant ships arriving from the Black Sea are carrying a mysterious disease. Nobody knows what causes it, only that wherever those ships stop, people start dying. It's probably just another fever, you tell yourself. People get sick all the time. Famous last words. Chapter 2. The Black Death. It started with a few friends. They collapsed with a fever and had painful swellings under their arms and around their neck. Within a few days, they would be dead. That's fast. Scary fast. Sometimes entire households disappear before anyone realizes they're sick. Doctors burn herbs, drain blood, and prescribe strange remedies. None of it works. And the priests do the only thing they know how to: pray. Although you're not sure if God is actually listening, because the rate at which people are dying is unholy. People flee the city. Others lock themselves indoors. The markets are closed and the fields go unworked. It's utter chaos. The smell of death fills the air. You spend your time inside with what little food you have and wait for death to catch up to you as well. But it never does. Somehow, against the odds, you survive. Now, what happens next is something ironic that no one expected. Chapter 3. Favorable Misfortune. The silence is deafening. The plague is finally gone, but half of everyone you knew is gone as well, and the place has turned into a ghost town. It's kind of like what Thanos was aiming for in that movie, only this time, there's no way to bring everyone back. They're gone for good. A situation like this naturally calls for despair, but something unusual occurs. The plague virtually took half of the workforce, so now employers are now competing for you. I know, that's a crazy switch. The nobles who once treated you as disposable are now offering you higher wages. In no time, your life upgrades. You move to a better house. You eat better food, including meat. Oh, how you've missed eating meat. You buy clothes you never imagined yourself owning. And now you imagine the world you could create for your future kids. You can give them something you never had growing up. That type of thing is priceless. But while you fantasize about upgrading your personal life, there are others who will spend their newly earned wealth on something that will later revolutionize Europe. Chapter 4. The Next Generation. It's the middle of the 15th century, and Florence is bustling with life. You grew up with your grandfather telling you stories of how life was back in his youth. The details are fuzzy, but you recall how he described the disease that basically killed off half of Europe, leaving him and others wondering if humanity would ever survive. Now, the streets are louder, markets are fuller, colorful fabrics hang from balconies, workshops buzz with craftsmen. It almost feels impossible that your grandfather once walked these same streets surrounded by death. He also mentioned how most people couldn't read or write and were pretty comfortable with letting the church decide everything for them. Looking at Florence now, it's hard to believe that was his reality. From what you can piece together, the Black Death might have killed off a lot of people, but those people were also a huge part of the workforce. With so few workers left alive, labor suddenly became valuable. Wages rose, and for the first time, many ordinary people could negotiate for a better life. More people could now afford to buy things instead of simply surviving. Trade began booming as markets grew busier than ever before. Merchants made fortunes moving goods between Europe's growing cities, and wherever trade flourished, banks weren't far behind. Soon, some banking families became among the richest and most influential people in Europe, most notably the Medici family. They became one of the top banks in Europe and decided to invest their money into something more interesting than clothes and food. They funded artists, architects, libraries, and scholars. That investment contributed to a wave of people who had already begun taking an interest in art and design, as well as rediscovering ideas that had been forgotten or neglected for centuries. Old Greek and Roman ideas were restudied. Churches became covered in increasingly lifelike paintings and sculptures unlike anything people had seen for generations. People also began questioning things they wouldn't have 100 years prior. Scholars compared old ideas with new observations instead of simply accepting tradition. This period will later be called the Renaissance period. You hear people talk about some remarkable artists, and you can't help but pay attention. You're astonished by how alive the paintings of Leonardo da Vinci seem to be. You are left in awe of how Michelangelo can transform a piece of rock into lifelike figures. Absolutely amazing. Your grandfather spent his youth wondering if humanity would survive. You spend yours watching humanity create wonders. The plague didn't create the Renaissance on its own, but by changing Europe's population, economy, and balance of power, it helped create a world where the Renaissance could flourish.